Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Smith. I am Group Managing Director of People to People in Australia and Frog Recruitment in New Zealand. And it's Friday afternoon, 12:30, which means we're live here on YouTube and on Facebook with a market update on what's happening in the jobs market, employment trends, etc., throughout Australia and New Zealand. Well, it's a spring day outside today, so I've even got my jacket off, which, you know, for those who know me, I'm practically naked. But because it is a spring day out there, but it's also a special day because my business partner and founding director of People to People is having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Manda Milling. And we've got a picture, I think, that Jaden has from no, it's not 19, that's a bit of it. It's 2005. That was within the first month of us opening People to People. And Manda, you have not aged a bit in that 15 years. You can certainly see what happened to my hair during that time. And Jaden, we've got another picture from 5 years ago. There we are. There seems to be a remarkable change in only one person there. And then now we're back to today, and you can see the ravages of COVID on my face today. The other thing that I should mention is that Manda is actually the same age as Dean Jones, and it's a very tragic day today where Dean Jones, Valet Dean Jones, who passed away suddenly last night in India. I'm a bit of a cricket tragic, so I did want to mention it today. And Dean actually, Dean, as if I know him, it was a very big part of my childhood. I loved cricket, and I used to see cricket on the TV all the time. This is a picture from, I think, of 1992, so a few years after what his famous double 100, I think it was. He got 100 in the first innings and 100 in the second innings against Pakistan in 1989. And, you know, for this broadcast, I went digging to find that, and I will make sure that Jaden actually pops the link to Cricket Australia's archive of that moment. It was pretty remarkable too, watching it again, just listening to all of the commentators from that era. So if you get a chance, we'll pop the link up in the comments, and I'll definitely take a look at that. But Valet Dean Jones, at just 59, and happy birthday, Manda, 59 today as well. Right, let's get into it then. So what we're here today is that I'm going to give you an overview of the market conditions here in Australia and New Zealand. We'll do our regular numbers section. It was the Internet Vacancy Index that actually came out this week on Thursday, I think it was. And then, as promised last week, we're going to cross live to Kim Padmore in our Perth office, and we're going to talk about the WA market and what's going on. We're going to get a little bit in depth into the WA market. We are having some problems with the internet there in WA, so depending on how we go there, we're going to give it our best shot and make sure that we'll give you as much information about WA as we actually can. So let's get into it, and let's start with the market at the moment. Right, so, well, once again, same story, marginal improvement in the number of vacancies listed, creeping, gradual creep. Now, what I'm talking about here is like a 1 or 2% improvement each week in terms of the number of vacancies that are listed with People to People. So, I mean, the way I'm describing it to the team is that it is just a very steady ship at the moment. So we've found that even ground. Anecdotally, there's an improvement in business confidence, however. We've actually launched our P2P post this last week, which is a salary survey market update that we first go to our clients and personally deliver a hard copy, or in COVID times, we're also doing it virtually with salary data. And in those numerous conversations that we're having, the market seems to be improving. There's a little bit of confidence that's actually creeping back into the marketplace at the moment. Look, there are seams of growth out there. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about that for WA. But also in sort of the regions. I heard on the radio this morning that places like Dubbo were finding it difficult to secure staff at this time. And at the moment, and I think we mentioned it last week during the broadcast, that we are working on a storeman's role. Our supply chain team are working on a storeman role in Gunnedah in regional New South Wales. That job is still open, and we'll definitely pop the link into the comments there. So please share it amongst on your social media, as that job is still open and sort of demonstrative of what I heard on the radio. So there are areas within New South Wales where and around Australia where there are pockets of opportunity for sure. The last thing I would say about that in terms of business confidence is that the conversations we're having is that they're not planning a huge increase in the number of staff or that they're going to return to normal hiring conditions before Christmas, but there seems to be whispers that it could actually be more of a turnaround in February next year. Personally, I'm a little bit more negative on that, but it'll be interesting to see if that does happen, and that should start after Australia Day. So that'll be the date to be watching some of these numbers come through. But now let's move through to the actual numbers section for this week, where we will be looking at the Internet Vacancy Index that was released on Thursday. So Jaden, if you could pop up the first graphic there. This is the actual time series of the Internet Vacancy Index from January 2006 through to August. You can see the peak there just before the GFC, the rise through to 2011, then the decline, and then the steady rise up until the last peak in the market, which was the middle of 2018. The last bit at the end, you can see obviously the steep decline in April, May, June, July, and now August as that bump does return. So the trend is an increase, still annually down by 21.7% on last year, but an improvement on the month previous of 3.9%. So the one thing I would say about that is that the market is improving, but the rate of improvement is slowing as we head towards the end of the year. I would expect this to flatten out, and then we'll be looking for that change in February of next year. Let's have a quick look then at the state-by-state analysis, and we can see obviously the story of the lockdown in Victoria. 45.7% decrease in the number of advertisements year on year. That's an absolute value of about 21,000 advertisements. That's a lot. New South Wales, 20% down year on year, but 2.4% up month on month. Queensland, and we've been talking about Queensland, that we had a very good, well, very good is the wrong language, but we had a good August. We've certainly seen it slow down in Queensland recently, and that's reflected in the job ad numbers here, an increase of just 0.4% month on month, but down 6.8%. The good news stories are South Australia up 10% year on year, Western Australia up 10.6% year on year. We're going to dive into that number, hopefully, we get the chance with Kim, and Tasmania. So yes, the other thing that I would point out is there's always stories at the moment or chatter in the marketplace that the ACT is the place to be because of the government, but they are still down 13.7% year on year in terms of the number of vacancies there. One last slide that I'll pop up now for you, which is more regional, I suppose, annual growth by state. You can see the green is the positive news, the yellow is the negative news. That's just on that graphic on the left-hand side there. The other graphic that we have is basically displaying the different areas or skills areas where there's been a change. And the largest decrease from a percentage and absolute number is the skill level 1, which is the green column the furthest to the left, and that's down 21.3% in terms of year-on-year change of job ads available. But the absolute number is also approaching 15,000 there. There are higher percentage decreases, and that is skill level 2, which is advanced diploma. That's the second column, but the absolute number of jobs that have decreased there is just under 5,000. The third biggest percentage decrease is skill level 4, which is a certificate 2, and that's down 19.4%, and it's the second most number of jobs declined as well, just under 10,000. The area that has had the least decline in a percentage level in absolute numbers is skill level 5 from the ABS, which is a certificate or secondary high school leaver, basically. Which it sounds, I mean, the anecdotes that you see on the news It sounds very counterintuitive, but really, this is only the jobs that are advertised, not the actual jobs that are in the marketplace or the unemployed individuals in the market. These are just the jobs that are advertised, and it's only down 6.4% year on year. Right, so that's it in terms of the numbers. Let's now move, and fingers crossed, everybody, that we're going to be able to do this, because we have had some issues with the internet in WA. Let's now go have a quick chat to Kim Padmore from People to People's Perth office.
Hi, Mark.
G'day, Kim. Can you actually hear me?
I can actually, yes.
Well, well, that's a start. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, I haven't mentioned before that if anybody's got any comments, then please pop them up. We can see them. If you want to ask questions of Kim or myself on YouTube or Facebook, then please make sure that you put those comments up, and we'll get to them straight away. But thanks, Kim, for joining us all the way from WA. Now, I sort of put you on the spot a little bit last week when we did this broadcast, and I said that we would do an analysis of, we'll have a look at WA this week. So thank you for joining us today. But I know that I'm going to do a little bit more about WA than just some employment stats. But you've got some favourite places that you'd like to share with us?
I do. I've shared a few pictures. I can't actually see the screen myself right now for connection issues. So, oh yes, it's popped up. So that's Scarborough Beach. So it's a pretty popular spot in WA. Happens to be where I live as well. So yeah, my favourite spot in Perth for sure.
Did we have our Christmas party there?
We did, yeah.
Lovely.
So Italian restaurant. This is Elizabeth Quay. So yeah, I was actually speaking to Jaden about this just before. It's a man-made inlet, so we're trying to copy Sydney and have our own circular quays. So we love it. And this is a view from Kings Park. So Kings Park is always a really popular tourist destination when tourists can come here anyways.
Yes, exactly. Well, your borders are closed now. That's a big wedding venue, isn't it? Like, lots of people get married in Kings Park.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's really popular. It's huge.
Yeah, fabulous. All right. Okay. Well, let's explore a little bit before we get into the details of the job market in WA. I've got some census statistics that I wanted to share with everybody just about WA. Feel free to comment at any time, Kim, on these. But I've got a slide, I think, Jaden, if you wanted to pop that up, which just gives the dimensions of the WA market. But there are 2.4 million people in WA, and it's literally 50-50 men and women. And the average age, you got an idea of what that average age is, Kim? What do you reckon?
Well, I can see it on the screen, but
well, 36? I can't see it. So there you go. It's 36 is the average age there. Some other stats, though, and which I know aren't on the screen, is the country of birth. So 46% are born in Australia, 10% are born in the UK, which is that's your heritage, isn't it, Kim?
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah.
Just under 4% from New Zealand, 3% for India, and what's the last one? What do you reckon in the top 5? What would it be?
Oh, Italy.
No, it's actually South Africa. Nearly
yeah,
2%,
that makes sense.
Nearly 2% of all WA is South African, 1.9% actually. That is double the Australian average. There's 0.8% in Australia. So there's twice as many South Africans in Perth than there are anywhere else in Australia. So I think that's an interesting stat. The other thing is in terms of the breakdown of occupations, 20% professional, 16% technical and trades, 13% in clerical and admin. Whereas I think over East, a lot of people think that there's a lot of work in engineering and mining, and those are the top 3 employers, employment categories in WA, which I think is interesting. So let's now move then. So Jaden, let's get into a few of the statistics let's deep dive into some of the areas. And what we've done here is that we've used our friends at Seek to give us a breakdown of the job ads year on year in different categories and the job ad views, so the number of candidates looking at those. So let's start with the first one in accounting. We've just had a comment there. Yes, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. I've just noticed we've got a comment there, though, that love the pictures for WA. Do you know more people are working from home than in the office at the same time? Well, what is that? What's your understanding of whether people are all working from home in WA at the moment, Kim?
Well, when we recently conducted the P2P post that we've just released, it was almost a 50-50 split of people that were entirely back in the office and businesses that were doing a mix of working from home and office. So the city definitely feels busier. I think we're in our own little bubble over here, it feels, and people are meeting face to face. So there are lots of people back in their office now, but I think there's still going to be a lot of flexibility in remote working as well.
Cool, excellent. Let's look at accounting. The number of job ads year on year in WA, this is WA specific for the is down 35%. But the number of people looking at these advertisements is also down 6%. But still, what that would mean is that if you were looking for accountants, you would feel like there is more. So that there's more candidates out there, but because they have fewer jobs to actually look at. In my experience, it seems there are still pockets of activity in accounting, though, and in payroll specifically. So I know that, for example, right now we've got a job. Looking for somebody with Pay Global. I'll see if we can get Jaden to put the link for that job here in Sydney at the moment. That's just a system that's really hard to find. So if you know anybody who's got Pay Global, what about you got any other areas you think that there are pockets of demand, Kim, in WA?
Credit control as well within accounting has been a busy area for us. And we had a few inquiries last week about payrolling for some big shutdown projects as well here.
Yeah, no, and I think also, what's interesting, that's very common for the other states. The other interesting area is public practice. A lot of although audit firms have declined or reduced their numbers and reduced hours, they are now moving back to bring people back. So I know KPMG are now back to 100%, for example, but they're not able to bring audit staff, transfer them from overseas, which there is a demand for audit staff. So if you know any auditors, I think there's also pockets of demand there. So let's move on then to admin and clerical and office support work. This is also a similar decline, 35.36% down year on year in WA. That's accounting still. Excuse me. Can you put the... I think you've got the wrong one there, Jaden. Whilst Jaden is finding that one, it's actually not the same. It's down 0.22%. It's basically year on year, it's exactly the same. But the job ad views are down 12%. So what that means is that there are the same number of jobs, but fewer people looking at those. It's actually harder to find people in WA in clerical and admin. What's your experience, Kim?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So we've definitely seen an increase for businesses needing all-round admin support and reception cover as well. There were a lot of changes. Obviously, reception wasn't a needed function when everyone was working from home. So there was a lot of movement in the market. And also a lot of people just taking this time to go on holiday. I think it's been a really hectic year for everybody. So a lot of people are taking leave periods now. So we're seeing short-term assignments, and it's definitely harder to find people.
Yeah, so people are exiting the marketplace. That's seen in an overall view, and we've looked at that on this broadcast in the past, is that the participation rate has declined. There are fewer people in the market, and I think that is more the case in admin and clerical at the moment. Right, let's move on to legal then. Do we have legal there, Jaden? Yes, here it is here. So, yep, that's it. So this is legal, including legal professional staff. We look at legal support, which is Kim's forte, I suppose. But overall, legal down 42% and job ad views up 6%. More people looking at fewer advertisements. That's not a good news story for legal overall. Can we have a quick look, though, at legal support? Because that's basically lawyers. And this is legal support. And you can see how that the job ads are still down, but nowhere near as much as legal overall.
job ad views are up 5.71%. What would be your experience of legal support in WA at the moment?
Yeah, so there's a few key areas of law that are busier than others. So there's been a real increase in requirements for support roles in family law. Property as well has been really busy. I would say in the last 2 months, we've had a huge surge again in shorter term assignments in the legal space. So just covering urgent gaps, a lot of firms seem to be busier than ever and trying to do more with less. So we've been placing temps and they've been consistently working for us, finishing on the Friday and then they're in their next assignment on the Monday.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely an increase in that side, and permanent is still slow. It's still picking up.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. So let's see some of the areas that are actually, and there are two areas that P2P are not actually work in or recruit for in WA. So we have less anecdotal evidence of the change here in the market. But the first one is trades and services, which I think is the most the area in WA that has the most increase in terms of the number of ads, 28%. Higher than last year. That's a remarkable change. And there are fewer people looking at those ads. So there's, in terms of a shortage, so if you're looking for somebody in trades, you're going to find that there is a shortage. It's not easy to find people in WA. And the next one is the pretty obvious one, is healthcare at the moment. So healthcare job ads are up 14%. But, and the difference here, is that there are more people looking at those ads. That's not necessarily that they're applying or that they're appropriate for the job, but there are more people looking at those. So I think there is a consensus in the candidate population that one of the most resilient areas in this time is healthcare. So they're looking at those advertisements. So in terms of the number of applications, for example, it's probably the same year on year, because the number of ads are up 14%, but also the number of people looking at those are up 16%. One area that we do operate in that has improved, and you've sort of touched on the legal side there, is real estate and property, Kim. So if we can just pop that one up, Jaden. Up 6.8% year on year, but the job ad views are down 17%. So there's more ads, less people. What's our experience, Kim, in WA?
Yeah, exactly that. So we saw a bit of an increase in the demand for property managers, and also kind of tying into that residential building space as well, which also links to why trades has seen a big increase, pre-start consultants. So yeah, they're really hard to find because the demand has obviously increased, and people that are in permanent roles are really hesitant to move still at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And the one last graphic, I think, and we'll just show this one really quickly, is this sort of a summary of all of the different areas year on year. Do you want to pop that one up? Yep, that's the one. Trades and services up 36%. The area that I wanted to point out here is the one that has declined the most, which is very incongruous to the stories you hear about WA, is mining and resources year on year. The number of the ads on Seek are down 22%. Accounting is down 15%. Information and communication down 14%. But the areas that are in demand, manufacturing and logistics, healthcare and medical, trades and services. So interesting marketplace in WA. The last one that we have is a little snippet of information, and I'm not sure if you've, there it is. This is from our P2P post, which we've launched. So if we have any clients or people who are in hiring positions who are watching today, we'd love to give you a copy. All you need to do is get in touch with Kim. We'll get her details in a second. But here's just a little snippet of one of the surveys that we did. Do you want to talk us through this one, Kim?
Yeah, sure. So we put to our clients in regards to any staffing and recruitment changes since COVID obviously hit, and the biggest one to come out of that was reduced hours. So definitely in Perth, there's still a lot of businesses operating on those reduced hours, and kind of linked into what I said previously with, businesses are trying to do more with less at the moment. But then 37%, so a close second, said it's recruitment as normal for them. So it really depends on the industries.
Yeah, it's not all bad news out there, I suppose. Great. All right. Now, you have an opportunity. I'm conscious of time. We're 25 minutes. We should be finishing up right now, but you've got a job you want to talk to us about really quickly.
I do, yes. So I'm currently recruiting on behalf of a national law firm. They're looking for an experienced career paralegal. So ideally not someone who is studying law and wanting to practice down the track, someone who wants to build a career as a paralegal within the areas of workers' compensation and debt recovery. They have a small presence here in Perth, so they're looking for someone who can get stuck in, work autonomously. But yeah, they're a really nice practice. We recruit for them all across Australia. So it's a good opportunity. It's really varied with responsibilities.
Great, fantastic. I see Jaden's already put the link in the comments if people are interested there. But if people want to talk to you either about the WA market in general, or they want to get it, or if they want to get a copy of the P2P post, what's the number they should call to get in touch?
Yeah, so you can give me a call on 0861606201.
Fabulous. Now, thanks, Kim. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I know we had a little bit of a heart attack before we came online because the internet wasn't working, but I think we've got through that there. Thanks for sharing your insights on the WA market. I think the last thing we're going to leave everybody with is a 30-second promo for Perth, because that's just the way Kim rolls. Do you want to pop that?
Right.
Do you want to pop that on, Jaden, before we say goodbye? Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's like torture because we can't even get on the plane and go there. That's just terrible.
They don't call us Perfect Perth for nothing.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you all again next week, 12:30 on Friday afternoon. Thanks again.
Thanks.